This is the Weekly You Demon.
We listen to every episode 5 times.
Alright, welcome to the California episode. Took the 3 youngest kids out to LA for the week for their spring break. We blanketed that state the best we could in 6 days. Los Angeles, Santa Monica, Malibu, Ventura, San Simeon, Monterey, Santa Cruz, Soledad, Altadena, Pasadena, Beverly Hills, Venice Beach, and Anaheim. Ended up in Disneyland. I'll be ranting about Disneyland a little bit later in the show. I tell you, sometimes I'm not sure if it was an endurance test or a vacation. There's a lot of driving, a lot of jet lag. Some days I was so tired I could barely see straight. Made me a real fun person to be around. I gotta do a staycation. I've been wanting to do a staycation for like 15 years easy. Just take a week off work and stay at home. And I didn't stay at home to get stuff done. I mean, I probably would get stuff done, but just a staycation. I don't think it'll happen though. I mean, to my wife, to Marie, a staycation, that'd be like, putting a bag of weed in front of Willie Nelson and telling him that's just to look at. We got 9 days ahead of us. We ain't just sitting down and doing nothing, that's for sure. Well, I will say, I wonder if my innate yearning to have a staycation is part of that innate yearning to do a spiritual retreat. The masters repeatedly counsel you have to take a retreat every year. And they're talking, I think, a minimum of 3 days. I mean, I'm not convinced they're not talking a full week where you go off to a monastery and you just basically do nothing but pray and contemplative reading, biblical reading. You can take the sacraments, you can join the monks, for their liturgies. And that's highly, highly recommended. I've never done it. I really need to. I've been trying to arrange it. I was going to do it last November, but then I got called to go to Las Vegas. I was going to do it this winter, and then I had to go to Miami. And then I was thinking I'd try to do it over Lent. I kept telling myself, okay, well, I'll just do it during Lent. That's fine. And then the Los Angeles trip came up. Now, as a practical matter, we typically go someplace on spring break with the kids. Not always, but typically do something. So that was kind of disingenuous of me to think I was going to get a spiritual retreat in the same month or the same time period. I'm going to go away for a week. Speaking of retreats, I tell you what, people who call their functions retreats when they're not retreats ought to be taken out and summarily shot. I have now been to four freaking outings. I found them all, without exception, miserable. One of them wasn't that bad, but then the retreat, quote unquote retreat leader, started veering into heresy, and it really made me mad. We got into it after one of the retreats. And this guy actually the priest escalated well before I did, by the way. And he is talking about how much like that Joseph Ratzinger bastard. I think he's a bastard. I mean, he was living this. I basically sound like Joseph Ratzinger, and I'm an evil person, and Ratzinger obviously became the Pope. But yeah, that was a quote unquote retreat. That was 4 nights at our local church. They call it a retreat. And I won't go into the other things that they call retreats, but my spiritual advisor said none of those are retreats. All 4 that you described, those are not retreats. You need to get your buttocks to a monastery. And what I want to do, I want to go to Gethsemane, where Thomas Merton was. Go down northern Kentucky, Gethsemane for a week, and do a retreat there. And I'm determined to do it. I'm not sure when I will. I'm tempted to do it in the summer, but criminy, if I do it, I'm going to want to do it like in a monastic cell. And it's not air conditioned. They do have air conditioned rooms where you can do a retreat for the tenderfoots. But if I'm going to do it, I think I want to be actually in a monastic cell. That really appeals to me. I don't know if I'll pull it off or not. We'll see. Hey, if you haven't figured it out yet, this is going to be a little bit of an unusual show. I don't have a lot of time to get the episodes done. I just have some random thoughts about Los Angeles and some other things. Going to kind of throw them out there. Hope you like the approach. I'm not sure we'll have a lightning segment, which I think is the most popular part of the show. But this whole thing is going to be like one prolonged lightning segment. Bonus for you guys. While I was in Los Angeles, it dawned on me, why do I have these long introductions? And one of my loyal listeners has told me a couple times, get rid of the introductions, just jump right into it. He cited a couple examples of great podcasters who do just that. So I'm not going to do that quite. But my pledge to you from now on is every podcast will start approximately 16, 17, 18 seconds after the very beginning. That way, if you're on Spotify, you can hit the fast forward button that goes forward 15 seconds and boom, you'll be past the intro stuff. If you're on Apple, you can push the 30-second fast forward, but then go back 15 seconds. So you can jump over the music and the introductory type stuff. The substance of every podcast will start in that 16, 17, 18 second mark of every podcast episode. So that's me trying to improve the listening experience. Hope you enjoy it. So anyway, what do I think about LA? Man, I don't know. First off, I wish I'd seen more of LA. But everyone, and I mean freaking everyone, my brother, my future son-in-law, my friends who used to live out in Los Angeles or in the, Southern California, a friend who lives out there now, they all said, screw LA, get out of LA, go see other areas. And my son Max, he said, and he had a great time, but he's 15 years old. He said, one thing I like about our family trips is when we go to these cities, we see the cities. Like, we went to Las Vegas, man, we barely left any stone unturned. We left a lot of naked breasts unturned, but not too many stones unturned. Went to Manhattan a while back. Man, we're all over that island. All over. From Washington Heights down to the World Trade Center, Battery Park. Nashville did the same thing. But this time he said, we really didn't do that. And I said, well, yeah, but we blanketed a hell of a lot of California going all the way up the coast. Right just south of San Jose and Santa Cruz. And he was cool with it. He's a really laid back kid. But he was right though. We didn't see a lot of LA. We pretty much focused just on northern LA, the Hollywood area. And we're just there for a day. And I kind of wish I'd seen more of LA. I was assured that LA is a shithole. Shithole. And I'm not sure I see it. The area around LAX, the airport, that was fine. Hollywood Hills was gaudy and, shallow, tinsel town. Well, yeah, that's what Hollywood is, but I liked it. I liked Hollywood. I liked it a lot. Now, keep in mind, we were in Southern California and Central California, like the best time of year. I went and saw a friend of mine who works for the Orange County Diocese, or the Los Angeles Diocese. And I said, this weather is just phenomenal, just knocking me out. He goes, enjoy it. This is paradise. Come back in 3 months and I'll show you hell. He said, when it gets hot out here, it's awful. He lives in Altadena, which is right next to Pasadena. Because I tell you what, driving around Southern California, looking at the beaches, going up Highway 1, I was like, I love this place. I'm absolutely just enchanted with it. But then the freaking people. It's like those environmentalists who think people, ruin nature. Well, I understand why they're all from California. Why all Californians are environmentalists who hate people. Because frick, it's awful. It is absolutely freaking awful. I look at Southern California now like I might look at like a beautiful whore. I don't want to admit that she's beautiful because it's so freaking skanky. It's like, I don't want to admit I love Southern California and middle of California because it's freaking just so over people. Like, I couldn't imagine living out there. I mean, the tension in me was palpable. I mean, at the same second I wanted to love it, and I hated it at the same time. But if you haven't been out there, yeah, you gotta check it out. Let me give you some travel advice. I was told I had to do 2 things while I was out there. Gotta go to Runyon National Park and hike as close as you can to the Hollywood sign. And you gotta do the 17-mile peninsula south of Monterey. Don't do those things. They're awful. Actually, I wouldn't know. I couldn't freaking get into them. We literally could not get into Runyon National Park on a Monday morning. It was just jammed. I almost ran over a dude because I had to back up and stuff. It was absolutely the low light of the trip. trying to get into Runyon freaking National Park. And there near the Hollywood sign. The 17-mile peninsula ride around Monterey, the Monterey Peninsula, bag it. Freaking bag it. We did it. And about halfway through, I was like, just get out. And we came in through the backside near Pebble Beach. And there were some great views, but nothing that was any better than what we had just seen for the past 2 days riding up Highway 1 from Los Angeles. Monterey itself, the city, that's pretty cool. But that's on the edge of the peninsula. You don't need to go on that 17-mile, but it is just bumper-to-bumper traffic, people on bikes. Stay off the 17-mile peninsula. One ghost kept coming and coming and coming when I was out there. Coming at me. Charlie Chaplin. This dude was a monster. In every way possible. I mean, we went to the Hearst Castle. William Randolph Hearst built this impressive, massive structure about 3 hours north of L.A. in San Simeon. We went and toured that, and in the stories, and then the homemade movies they showed, it was Charlie Chaplin there. We go to Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. Charlie Chaplin's instrumental in its founding. Universal artist, Charlie Chaplin. This guy was huge. He was a monster. He's also a communist. Now, he says he wasn't. He said he was a peacemonger. And in that, he kind of piece in my heart. Just throughout our history of the past 100 years, whenever people have preached peace, we've labeled them as communists. But Chaplin probably was. He is at least a commie simp. And probably a socialist. And definitely had that leftist Hollywood mentality. That's one thing people don't realize. Hollywood from day one, other than maybe the movie moguls themselves, the executives, but the actors, they've always been leftists. It wasn't, that the House Un-American Activities back in 1940 with Joseph McCarthy. Yeah, it was an outrage. I'm not saying it should have happened. But keep in mind, there were communists in Hollywood. The communist creed was take over the United States. We do have institutions that were infiltrated by communists. I'm not saying Joe McCarthy was right. I'm not saying we should have done those things in the HUAC. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying, they weren't chasing ghosts. We know we had a communist problem. I'm not saying Charlie Chaplin was part of it. I don't know enough about Charlie Chaplin to know, but he clearly was a simp. So in that sense, he's kind of a monster. He's a monster industrial-wise. He is a monster with his political ideology. And he is a monster with the chicks. I pulled out this book, David Thompson's The Whole Equation, A History of Hollywood. Great book, by the way. If you're interested in Hollywood, read it. This David Thompson, I don't know what type of prose he has, but it's really a cool prose. It's unique. You're reading the history of Hollywood, but it's filled with anecdotes and stories. It's a wonderful, fun read. Pretty thick, I'll warn you right now. But he told the story about how in the 1920s a director came into Keystone Studios when Charlie Chaplin was still with Keystone on a Saturday morning. And by the way, people in Hollywood worked hard. They still do. But he gets there a Saturday morning, the place is closed, and he asks the guard, what's going on? Well, it turns out that a very pretty 17-year-old girl was working at the set, and she is pregnant. And she got pregnant. And her mom was enraged, so she reported it to the district attorney, saying she's only 17 years old. I guess 18 years old was the age of consent back then in California. District attorney calls the studio and says, hey, the cops are on the way over. Anyone who had anything to do with this girl better get out of there now. And the whole place cleared out. According to the guard, told the director, the whole place cleared out. And the director said, what about Charlie? He said, Charlie was the first one to leave. And this David Thompson points out, let's see if I can find the quote here. Yeah, he said, that Chaplin had a, quote, need to possess pretty girls not yet of the age of consent, unquote. He said that Chaplin had numerous 16-year-old girls. The guy was just kind of a monster. He also had 4 wives. But man, everywhere you go, I mean, it's kind of impressive, 100 years later, when this guy was the tramp, you can still see his mark on Hollywood. Alright, Disneyland. Oh, doggy. Oh, let me get a drink here. They build themselves the happiest place on earth. Man, I guess it's compared to what? I guess compared to being a slave, it's happy. And maybe if I was Harvey Weinstein's gay sex toy, that'd be a far happier place. But the happiest place on earth, man, you better be one emotionally deprived mofo. But it is just like California. I mean, it is really a neat place. The rides are fun. It is a happy place. You like seeing the little kids. But they oversell the mofo. It's just people everywhere. And when I went on this website called Is It Packed and checked it, they said on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the busiest, this was only a 3. And I was like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. You could barely, I mean, not barely move. You could not move at times. It was awful. And the weather was freaking gorgeous. I can't imagine. Well, there's no way I would have made it. If it was like a 90-degree day, I wouldn't have made it. I would have been bailing up at 1 o'clock. I told Maria I wasn't even upset about it for some bizarre reason. I was like, yeah, I didn't hold much hope out for Disney anywhere. I think it's like the evil empire. So I didn't hold out much hope. So I'll just go back to the hotel room and take a nap. You guys stay here. I'll see you tomorrow type thing. But I stuck it out and it got a little bit better. The fast pass system they have is pretty slick. And we ended up getting on 20 rides. I mean, depending on how you count. But yeah, 20 rides is how many we got on. And most of them are pretty cool. But I'll tell you one thing Disney has. It has a fat problem. What the frick, Disney? I mean, you are overselling admission anyway. You're bringing way too many people in the park. And then on top of that, you're now renting out these scooters for disabled people. That is a great thing to do. But to rent those scooters out to fat people so they can clog up the alleys and clog up the walkways with them? What the frick? It's like, I think I'll just go have like 15 bong hits of mind rape and then say I'm just too stoned. I need a scooter so I can go around in these crowds and completely clog up the alleyways and make the foot traffic that much worse. You know, what they ought to do, Disney's well known for their gay days. They celebrate gays and all the gays come in. I don't know if you get in half price or half ass or what it is, but they have gay days. They should have scooter days. If you're a scooter person, come on this day. We'll have extra scooters here for you, and you guys can all clog the sidewalks together. And I'm going to come into this, by the way. Remember, I talked a couple episodes ago about dumpling. I said it has to be this like postmodern, like they're trying to celebrate fat people. I was dead nuts on. That is what's happening. There is a strain of postmodernism that thinks the healthy body is an artificial binary against which fatness has been juxtaposed. And I'm going to play a clip from the podcast. I heard it. It's like 4 minutes long. I'm probably not going to get it in on this episode, but on the next episode for sure. But I'm thinking, man, that's what Disney's doing here. And again, I haven't been to Disney. I went to Disney World back like 30 years ago. I don't remember seeing the scooters. And I know they proliferated in my small town. And it's often just fat people not able to get out. People who didn't take care of themselves or just too fat to move. And now they're effing up Disney's sidewalks. And as long as I'm on the topic, I have a great freaking idea. And it hit me when I was in the airport seeing more fat people and getting dinged like an extra $30 because my suitcase was too heavy. And I paid it. It's cool. It was in the rules. I get it. I'm a big boy. I don't mind paying. But why the frick am I paying $30 extra for my suitcase that's 3 pounds? No, I'm sorry. It was 13 pounds or it had to be under 40. It was at 52. Yeah, so 12 pounds. It's 12 pounds heavier. So I sucked up and paid the $30. It's in the rules. But why does the fat person, why do they have to pay the same rate I do? And I understand at some point they can be so freaking fat that they have to take up 2 seats and they have to pay double. That's what I've been told anyway. So I get that. But I'm talking about just in general. I'm told the reason you got to pay extra for heavy luggage is because the heavier the plane is, the more the fuel costs. And fuel for airplanes is very expensive. Well, I'm clocking in about 185 pounds. Probably 195 now after vacation. But why am I paying the same as a dude who weighs 275 pounds but can fit in 1 seat? I mean, you think about it, this would be, a great thing for the midgets. People get down on me for going to midget wrestling. It's like, well, hey, at least I'm really going to give them a freaking break on airline rates. Why is Jason Acuna, the wee man, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Acuna? Jason Acuna, the wee man, why is he paying the same as Shaquille O'Neal? So this a thought there is, I don't get it. And by the way, there is like in Michigan, I know we have Elliot Larson Civil Rights Act prohibits such thing. It'd be a violation of civil rights. But that just means you need to change the statute and say, no, we're going to start permitting this. And it doesn't have to be fat people even, by the way. Just for whatever reason, if you're heavy, you just basically, when you go through those, those screening devices, just have a scale there too and get your weight card. You're a big bodybuilder, it logs in at 260. Okay. You're buff, you're ripped. I wish I had a body like yours. But you're heavy as frick, so you gotta pay extra. So it's not even a fat thing, it's just strictly a weight thing. Ventura Highway in the sunshine. That's one of my favorite songs. I just love the group America. They came to my small town, and it was the actual group, too. It wasn't like one of these groups that lost all the original members. The band America was three dudes. Two main ones and like a backup guy. The backup guy dropped out years ago, but the two main guys are still touring. Phenomenal show. Hour and a half, in, out, entertaining. It was excellent. I always liked America before that, and after that show, about 15 years ago, I've loved America. And I loved Ventura Highway, so we had to drive through Ventura Highway, through Ventura County on Highway 1. Although, the guys who wrote that song said, we don't necessarily mean Highway 1, but we didn't really mean any particular highway in Ventura, so Highway 1's just as good as any. So when you're on Highway 1, you can envision you're on Ventura Highway. So I put the top down of the car and let my hair blow back. The Hearst rental car place wasn't too happy because it wasn't a convertible. What I didn't realize about Ventura Highway is it was named after Bonaventura, St. Bonaventura. They just shortened it to Ventura. I just never knew that. I thought it was fascinating. And if you don't know your Franciscan history, here's the deal. Junipero Serra he founded California. Listen to the various cities he founded. Because he founded missions. Every 50 miles he founded a mission to try to convert the Indians. And then they're often then accompanied by troops, and that was the start of these cities. San Diego, Carmel, San Gabriel, San Luis Obispo, San Francisco, Santa Clara, Ventura. All the work of that Saint Junipero Serra, who was a Franciscan monk, and Franciscan refers to Saint Francis of Assisi. When Saint Francis of Assisi died, Bonaventura was 5 years old, so not contemporaries, but, close, a generation or two apart. Well, Francis died fairly young, so yeah, basically one generation apart. So Saint Bonaventura was possibly the greatest Franciscan of all time, after Francis himself. Junipero Serra founded the Bonaventura mission, which is then later shortened to Ventura. So now you know that the connection between St. Francis of Assisi and the pop group America. You whip that out of the bar next time you're out drinking, fascinate your friends. I really like Santa Cruz. That was the northern point on the other side of the Monterey Bay. That's as far north as we got. You're just south of San Jose. We got there, we parked right across from the boardwalk, the famous Santa Cruz boardwalk. So we get in a hotel, we walk across there, just kind of walking along. I said, I feel like I'm at the set of Lost Boys, but I know the movie Lost Boys was filmed in Santa Clara. Lost Boys takes place in quote-unquote Santa Carla, and there is no such thing as Santa Carla. I always figured Santa Clara, since that's where the amusement park is. And a lot of Lost Boys, at least the beginning, takes place like at an amusement park. But it wasn't. My gut was right. We were on the set of Lost Boys. They're in Santa Cruz. In fact, most of the movie was shot in and around Santa Cruz. And I really liked it. Marie and I went walking in the morning, saw sea lions under the wharf. It was really neat. My friend in Altadena told me, he goes, Santa Cruz, that's like the gay marriage capital of the world. Santa Cruz is gay even by California standards. And that's saying something. That's some pretty stiff competition. But I didn't see it. I think I may have had a lesbian sighting at one point. But no, man, I didn't pick that up at all. But yeah, I really like Santa Cruz. On the way back from Santa Cruz, we stopped in Soledad for Mass. And, again, it's been a long trip, a lot of driving. And we're walking up, and it's like, oh, gosh, there's a bunch of middle-aged women, probably aged 50 to 75. They're all standing outside the church getting ready to process in. I was like, frick, it's going to be some big special function for these women. And Marie just looks at me, she's like, Eric, he goes, it'll be an experience. And I said, yeah, but so is getting. She goes, stop it. She goes, we're going to Mass, just stop it. I'm not sure how I was going to end that phrase, but she didn't want to hear it. It wasn't going to be appropriate for going to church, I know that. one thing we were dreading was Sunday. We spent 2 days winding up Highway 1, culminated in Santa Cruz, then drove back down basically the highways, the middle of the state highways. And I was kind of dreading that, but boy, we went through the Salinas Valley. That's one pretty freaking drive. I mean, coming on the heels like it did of Highway 1, it didn't seem that pretty, but boy, go up that valley, and it's springtime, and you can see all the different crops going in, and then the mountains off all around you. I loved it. I was also taken aback by just how labor intensive a lot of these crops are. I'm used to, being in the Midwest, and it's like big combines go by, they plow everything up, they put the seeds down, and you move on. But man, these were just acres and acres of like fabric type gardening. I don't know how to put this, but if you're not into gardening, you oftentimes put down fabric to keep out bugs and other pests, keep out frost if it's frost sensitive. And it's pretty labor intensive. And there are a lot of operations like that in the Salinas Valley. Now it's like, man, so the labor involved. Now maybe there are machines that do these things. I don't know, but I'm looking thinking, man, like that one row of 500 feet would probably take me like 5 hours to do by myself. And there's a lot of that. So I'm guessing there's like maybe strawberries and stuff that'd be frost protected, but just a lot of like we call it cold tunnels or low tunnels, then high tunnels and netting, and it's pretty impressive. One gem that you'll probably miss if you don't listen to this podcast is Pasadena. Go check out Pasadena. They'll tell you in the AAA road book that it's like a paradise for architecture buffs, and it really is. There are just so many cool buildings in Pasadena. We just walked around for a couple hours after we stayed there Sunday night. We walked around. It was great. Highly recommend it. Check out City Hall. Check out, I think it's St. Andrew's Church. Just look exactly like the type of church you see in Rome. But I can tell you this, don't drink anything in Pasadena when you're walking around because you cannot urinate. And that's a problem in Pasadena. It's a problem in Southern California in general. There's so many freaking homeless walking around like in Southern California, especially Pasadena, that they've hidden all the freaking bathrooms. There's no place to urinate. I mean, I had to go bad, and I finally gave up. And every convenience store you go to, by the way, will tell you that the bathroom's out of order. Every convenience store. Oh, it's not working. Oh, it's not working. Finally, I started calling the guys liars. I didn't call them that. I said, well, thanks a lot. And I'd leave my stuff on the counter and walk out. He goes, no, it's overflowing. It's like, BS. And every convenience store owner will tell you that the bathroom's not working because they want to keep the homeless out. I'm guessing they can't decline service to people if they have an operating bathroom. And Pasadena's gone one step further. They've hidden all the restrooms. City Hall, couldn't find a restroom. The church you went to, couldn't find a restroom. The homeless, I talked to Screw the Poor in the last episode, which I need to address that, by the way. A listener said that came off way too harsh, and I know you help the poor a lot. But I'll try to walk it back later. But man, I tell you what, I came out of Southern California thinking, I guess I'm not getting much more sympathetic to the poor anytime soon. I don't know, I have a problem with traveling. Just vacation in general. I love the early mornings, and I love the nights. I mean, I'm like that Tom Papa. Tom Papa talks about being the morning Tom. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, he's going to conquer the world. And then by night, he's like eating cheesecake and throwing down booze. That's kind of the way I am. I mean, if I could just have vacation from like 5 in the morning to 11, and then lay down from 11 to 4, and then go get debauched and drink from like 4 to midnight, that'd be like a perfect vacation for me. I'm going to give you another travel hint. Noon tablets. Don't fear the noon. N-U-U-N. These things are amazing. My chiropractor, when I left, he said, make sure you stay hydrated. With your bad disc in your back, he goes, you need to keep hydrated. People in general need to keep hydrated. We're a very dehydrated society. You need to keep hydrated. The problem is, if you drink a lot of Gatorade, you're going to pack on the pounds. Last summer, I had a horrible dehydration spell. It went on for months. At one point, I thought maybe I was having a stroke. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I was all dizzy and stuff. And the doctor's like, well, drink 50 ounces of Gatorade and 50 ounces of water a day, and you'll slowly get back to equilibrium. Frick, after a week, I literally put on 10 pounds. I went from like 180 to 190 pounds. And I was looking pretty good for me. Then I started pounding all this Gatorade. The noon tablets saved me. N-U-U-N. Instead of like 70, 80, or 100 calories, whatever it is Gatorade has, these have 10 calories. They don't taste real good, but you know, it's kind of like medicine. You're trying to get it, and it's not bad, by the way, but they don't taste great. And I usually put 2 tablets in each, like 16-ounce drink, and that actually tastes pretty good. And you get them caffeinated on top of that. So if you put 2 tablets in, you get 80 milligrams of caffeine, which is like a cup of coffee, and you get a ton of electrolytes, and it helps with your hydration. So again, noon tablets, they're a savior. I take them to the garden with me, to my farm, take them on vacation. I have a friend who says he takes them on the golf course with him now, so he doesn't get dehydrated when he golfs. Again, highly recommended. So I'm listening to Mother Angelica before I leave on the plane. I'm a nervous flyer, and I hate even saying nervous flyer, because I really don't give it a whole lot of thought. But, you know, just in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, boy, this plane could go down. You know, so I try to think of, you know, listen to people kind of soothe me. I said, well, I guess if I die, I'll get to see Mother Angelica. That'd be kind of cool. I like Mother Angelica. But she pointed out something. Well, I was getting ready to take off. She said, you know, wearing deodorant and staying showered, she goes, that's an act of charity. Her basic point is, don't be a freaking pig. That's just rude to people around you. You know, so put the deodorant on, be clean, and that's just being kind and being charitable to the person next to you. You want to know another act of charity you can do that's pretty simple? Know what you're going to order before you get up there to order when you're in a food line. Twice I was at Disney. I was in the freaking popcorn stand. Just popcorn. Both times, the dude was there for 3 minutes trying to figure out what he wanted. It's like, dude, you got popcorn with the bucket, souvenir bucket for $9, or you got popcorn without the souvenir bucket for $5. And then you can get Coke, Sprite, or water. That's freaking it. What are you doing up here for 3 minutes? Chatting about the popcorn. It's just so rude to people behind you. And I am stunned at the sheer number of people in our culture that apparently cannot see behind them, whether they're on the road doing 45 in the left-hand lane, whether they're clogging up the sidewalks at Disney because they can't move very fast, whether it's people, they go to confession, knowing 10 people waiting in line, but they take up 40 minutes to go to confession anyway, or so screw that. Take up more than 5 minutes to go to confession, knowing that there's 10 people waiting. Or there's people getting up in the food line, and they have no clue what they want to order when they've been standing there for 5 minutes, or 10 minutes, or 15 minutes. So know what you're going to order when you get up there. And if you're in the popcorn stand, and all you got is popcorn in 2 different cups, a big souvenir cup, or a not souvenir cup, know what you're going to order. Place the order, move on. In this vein, I had a priest I really like. He ends every homily with, be blessed and be a blessing. You want a nifty way to be a blessing? When you travel, and not necessarily when you travel, just when you're out and about, have with you one of those pocket chargers for cell phones. They often give them away as party favors, or when you go to conferences at tables, they'll just be giving them away. Have that available, have it fully charged, and then you can, hey buddy, here you go. Plop your iPhone here and charge it up. That's a great way to be a blessing. Or have, if you're in the airport, have charging cords or blocks or whatever, and when you see someone kind of distressed because they can't get to one or whatever, you're there for them, and you can be a blessing. Just a thought. Of course, I don't practice what I preach. I guess I'm hoping more people do that so that I can glom off their charity and get my stuff charged, because I'm not very good at remembering those things. Okay, that's a wrap for the week. Go check out the Facebook page, subscribe to the Twitter feed, tell your friends and family. Go to UDemon Podcast for show notes and other information. As always, thanks for listening.